So then I think we can start. At my clock, it's 8 o'clock. So yeah, welcome to this short webinar about, or short, I think it's very long, about calendars, heathen calendars, or maybe Germanic calendars, and the dates of holidays. So just a few sentences to my person. My name is Andreas Zautner. I'm a physician. I'm a specialist in microbiology and virology, so I'm very deep into this corona diagnostic stuff these days. So I'm not a lecturer about Scandinavian literature or something like that. So all what I'm presenting here is just my hobby. But I have written a book about Germanic calendars in 2013. So I published it in this year. So I wrote it the years before. This year in February, that means Johanna Klapper, who translated the book, we also published this in English. So let's get started. So what I want to do with you today is to put together a kind of puzzle. You see the many puzzle bricks here. And when I started to read about Norse mythology and Norse holidays and pagan holidays or Germanic holidays, I put up some bricks, some puzzle bricks. And the first, what nearly all of you know, is the word month. The word month comes from moon. You know this from etymology. I copied here from etymology online just the definition of month, and today we know it's a 12th part of the year because it's just the division of the year, and it has no really correlation with the moon phases in our days, in our modern days. But when you look back in Old English, Proto-Germanic and so, then you see originally the moon, or the month was the interval between new moon, the sparking, the crescent of the waxing moon, and then you have the full moon and then the waning moon, and this defines a complete lunar month. So this is what everyone knows from childhood, but how does it fit into a real calendar? Then everyone knows from kitchen astronomy, we have a lunar year which has 345 days and a little bit, and then we have the solar year which is 365 days. So we have a difference of 11 and a little bit of days. So this does not really match. So we have a mathematical problem and also a theological problem. So we have to cut in an intercalary time period, maybe a complete month or a few days or a week. And here we face the theological problem, because who is more important, who's more powerful? Is this the sun goddess or the sun god? In Roman religion, you have Mithras, the sun god, or in Germanic religion, Sunna or Sol, the sun goddess. And on the other side, you have the moon. And if the sun is more powerful, the moon has to break up its month. And if the moon is more powerful, then the month has to stay intact. So this is one idea before. And then we have many of these festivals and customs that are considered as very ancient. So we have Yule or Christmas these days. We have the traditions in the 12 nights, especially in the Alpine regions. We have Easter. So especially the name Easter in English and in German is of pagan origin. Yule is of pagan origin. Then we have Midsummer, for example, which is very famous in Sweden, but is also celebrated in other countries. So these are a few more puzzle bricks, and then you look into some books about Norse mythology. So I looked up in the lexicon and the encyclopedia of North, how to translate it, of Jan de Vries, Norse mythology. And here Snorri writes some strange things. So there were 3 festivals that were annually celebrated in Trondheim. So you have the first one in fall, which is at Vetarnotum in the winter nights. And this is around October the 14th. Then we have midwinter, Midjum Vetri in Icelandic, which is around January the 13th. So this is very surprising, or was very surprising for me. It's not at Christmas Eve, it's in January. So how does it fit into what we know? And then we have the third one, which is in spring. This is the middle of April. So this maybe is some related festival to Easter, what we know now. And I want to bring all these puzzle bricks together now. And to get an idea how a lunar calendar works, I will start with the Roman calendar, because here we have very good sources. There's even some depictions are conserved. And I think because our everyday used calendar, the Georgian calendar, is related to this, and that's why this is a good starting point. And here we have the Fasti Antiates Majores, so this is just a calendar sheet. And in the Roman calendar, we have 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. December is the 12th regular month. And then we have the mensis intercalaris. This is the intercalary month, as you can translate it in modern English from Old Latin. And each month in the Roman calendar starts with the so-called calende. This is etymologically, related to call, calare, which means that a priest, the so-called pontifex, announces the beginning of a new month with the crescent, with the sparking. In Swedish, it's called new tending. The sparking of the new lunar crescent. And maybe you know the TV series Rome. There is some fat guy, I think he is coming onto the Forum Romanum, and he is the pontifex, and he starts the beginning of the month just by calling Juno Covellas, the moon goddess. And then there's another very important day in Roman calendar. This is the so-called Eidos or Eidos day. You find it here in every month in the middle. And this is a period of 3 days, or it's jumping from the 13th to the 15th. This is more right. And this is the full moon. The Eidos, or the Ide, everyone knows the Ide of March, where Caesar was slaughtered. And this is the middle of the month, the full moon. This is the new moon, the calendar, and this is the full moon. And then you have other days, for example, the None. In the Roman calendar, you have an 8 weeks day, which is a 9 weeks day according to the inclusive reckoning, because the last and the first day of some neighboring weeks are counting for both. And this is the day where the Romans meet. So it's a meeting day, or it's more or less the day of the Ting for the Romans. And then we have also, in relation to the Eidos day, we have the Tubilustria. You can hear Tubil. This is the market week, the 8-day week in the Roman calendar after the Eidos day, after the full moon. And here the trumpets, the Tubilustriae, are blown. It's just a ritual for the waning moon. And one very interesting thing is the mensis intercalaris, the the intercalary month, which is switched in after February, between February and March. So in the originally Roman calendar, the year starts with March, which is more or less the spring celebration. Then in the very ancient Roman calendar, it said the year ends in December with the summer solstice. And then you have January and February, which is more or less a borrowing of the Etruscans. So we had here a time which does not really belong to the year. This is a little bit strange. And in Roman calendar, the February is sometimes shortened from 27 days to 23 days when a mensis intercalaris, when a leap month is cut in. So another word for these mensis intercalaris is Mercedonius. So the normal 354 days lunar year, counting 12 lunar months, is the regular one. And the Romans have a so-called leap rule according to a system which is called in Greek tetra eteris. Also, it's meant that you have a 4-year cycle. After 4 years, it's complete. So you have 2 normal years, 2 normal lunar years with 354 days here and here. And then you have 1 intercalary year where the Februarius is shortened to 23 days instead of 27. And in these years, a mensis intercalaris of 22 days, and in the other second year of 23 days is cut in. So if you count this together and divide it by 4, you have more or less the time span of a solar year, which is very good, approximated with 365.25 days per year. So now I'm continuing with, this is one of my famous pie charts. So you will see more of this. So this is just the Roman wheel of the year, which is based on the lunar calendar. So many of the month names here are very familiar to us, I think. So you start with March, then Aprilis, Maius, Junius, then Quintilis, Sextilis. This is just renamed in the recent calendar in September, October, November, December, Januarus, Februarus. And then here the mensis intercalaris of 22 or 23 days is cut in. So February has to be shortened here. Yeah, and then you see already a few Roman festivals here. So one very important are the Saturnalia, including the Dies Natalis Invicti, which is the winter solstice. This is depicted here as a small red dot. The sun is a little bit smaller because here it's very important to look for the full moon. And these are the Idus days. Just to give you a base what is coming. And yeah, this Roman calendar, the calendar of the Roman Republic, was changed by Gaius Julius Caesar. Everyone knows him, who was the first Caesar. And he faces the problem that the year, in order to artificially extend some terms of office for for a Caesar, that the mensis intercalaris was arbitrarily arranged. So these tetra eteris was not really followed according to the phases of the moon and the sun. So they just say, okay, we cut it in, and then we have a longer period when we rule. And he changed the beginning from the year, which was March the 1st to January 1st, as it is today, because January is the month of Janus, the Roman god with the 2 faces and who looks in the past and in the future. So in the 1st of January, and the end of the year is the 31st of December, which was already the same, but or I already mentioned it, you have this gap here of a few days or a few months. And then a month was 30 or 31 days. So at this calendar reform, the lunar month was just an arbitrary period of 30 or 31 days. And the menses intercalaris was also left. And we have the leap day, February the 29th. This is as we use it today. And one thing I want to mention, maybe some of you know it already, maybe for some it's new. We have to ask us why we celebrate the winter solstice on December the 25th and not on the 21st today. And this goes back also to Roman times. And here the winter solstice was traditionally proclaimed by the Pontifex Maximus. The Pontifex Maximus is now the Pope, but in these days it was more or less Caesar itself. And they don't proclaim it just by heart or whatever. They look at the so-called Solarium Augusti or the Horologium Augusti. It was these obelisk, which was erected by Augustus, and this casts a very long shadow, which is about 30 meters, 98 feet, and this shadow does not really change in the area about the winter solstice. So you need a few days, round about 3 days, that you can recognize if there is a little change. And this change is the turn of the sun in the year. And this happens a few days later. So this is more or less the reason why we don't have this Christmas celebration at the night between 21st and 22nd of December. So this is also one important thing. And then the last step from the Romans or from the Catholic Church is the Gregorian calendar reform. And this is a calendar reform which is attributed to Pope Gregory. But in real, it was done by Aloysius Lilius, which was the personal physician of the Pope. And he reckoned that this 1 year is not exactly 365.25 days. It's a little bit longer. And so we have the problem that the winter solstice date is moving 1 day ahead within 128 years. This is very important when we discuss about winter solstice and such things in Viking time in the 10th century when it's over. So we have a switch of more than a week of the winter solstice. So in Sweden, it's the Santa Lucia Day in December the 13th. So it was the old date of the winter solstice when they introduced a Gregorian calendar and left the Julian calendar. So that's for the beginning. That's to form a base to discuss about the Germanic calendars. And here I start with the Anglo-Saxon calendar according to Bede the Venerable. I think this is also a well-known person in history. And here I have a depiction of him. Bede the Venerable was a Benedictine monk, which was living in Northumbria in the 6th century, or between 5th and 6th century. And he wrote a book, the Temporum Ratione, which is a book about time reckoning, about calendars. And he has a chapter about the Anglo-Saxon calendar. And here you see also a pie chart, which is similar to this one, what I've presented for the Romans. And here we have the Anglo-Saxon or the Old English calendar names. And we already see some very interesting facts. So one thing is that we have double month. So we have Eola, which means Yule, the Yule celebration, and 2 months are called Eola in the Minologium, another book. These names are a little bit more precise. You have Era Eola and Eftera Eola, which means early and late Yule month. So we have a double month here, which is at this time point, or at this point of the talk, just to recognize. And on the other side of the calendar, we have the so-called Lether months, which is also Era and Eftera Lether in the Minologium. And it's also a kind of double month. This is very interesting. And then we have other names. So we have the Sol month, which is Sul, Sule in German, which is a muddy month. And if you have Red month, Bede writes that it's according to Reda, which should be a goddess, but it's maybe a misinterpretation. Then we have Easter month, which is the month of Easter. And he also says it's due to Eostra or Ostara in German, which was badly translated. A better translation would be Ostra, which is the spring goddess. There are much discussions about this, and maybe it was an additional name, Eostra, for another Germanic goddess, which was worshipped in Kent, I think, or in Sussex. Then 3 Milky. This means a month where you can milk the cows 3 times. And then the wheat month, then Harlig month or harvest. Harvest is more common. This is the harvest. And this is very interesting. Winter Fület. This is a month which is called Fület, which is full moon and winter. And here, this is also written in Beda's text. The Anglo-Saxons just divided the year into 2 seasons. We have winter and we have summer. That's all. No spring and no autumn. And Winter Fület is the starting of winter, which is more or less October. And here we have already some big celebration. And then he writes that in a leap year, he does not give us a leap rule, but in a leap year, we have a 3rd Lether month, and this is after Eftera Lether. So it's between this Lether and the wheat month, it's cut in. So it's relatively late, and it's cut in summer. This is already important. So let's come to the Danish calendar. This is or Olaus Wormius, which is I think he was a physician. So he studied in Marburg and in Basel, in Switzerland, in Germany, medicine. But after this, he became a professor, I think, in Aarhus for archaeology, and he is very famous for the painting of the Gallehus horns, these golden horns, which are lost, but according to his paintings, they could be reconstructed. And he wrote down 2 Danish or Old Danish calendars, and one is also a 13-month lunar calendar. And here, I think I already added a little bit what I already know from Bede. We have also winter and summer, and we have here Säde man. This is just the seeding month. Pölse man. This is the month for sausages. This is already some conserved month. The November is the slaughtering month. Then Yule man. This is already the Christian Yule, the Christmas month. Then Renden. It's the reindeer, also winter month. Thor man. This is not the god Thor. It's in German we have the word Dürre, which means dry, a dry month, but it's not dry like a desert. It's dry like a winter desert. Then Fähremann, this is the sheep month. And then we have in May, the beginning of summer, Mayman, Summerman, Ormerman, which means snake month. Höhman, this is hay, cutting hay. Then this one is the leap month. He does not write where it has to cut in, so I added this at this position according to the writing of Bede, and this means something like late month or a month which is too late. And then we have the Gornman and the Fiskeman. So this is also 13 moon calendar from the Danish people, and we have a name for 13th month, but Olausborn does not know a leap rule, but he knows a so-called Diesting rule. We came later to this according to the Swedish celebration of the Diesting or Diesating. So then we have one very strange calendar, which was written down by Niels Winter. So I jump a little bit forward. Niels Winter wrote a book which is called Færøernes Oldtidshistorie, which is the history of the Faroe Islands. And in Germany, we had only 2 universities where this book was in the library. So this was the University of Kiel in the north and the University of Göttingen, and Göttingen is where I'm living. And because of this rareness of the book, I went to the library and I asked them to digitalize it. So you can go to this URL here, and then you can look in this book, or you can download it as a PDF file. And in this history of the Faroe Islands, Niels Winter, who was a politician who was involved in the independence movement of the Faroe Islands, he described a very strange calendar. And in this calendar, we have not only complete month, we have splitted month. And in English, the term fortnight, which means 14 days. Fortnight is a famous computer game now, but it's more or less a half month. And in this Faroese calendar, these half months, these fortnights, have their own names. And he also has 2 seasons, winter and summer, here in blue and in yellow. And I start here with the Vetra Solin. This is also very strange in the names, because Sol means sun in all other Scandinavian languages like Swedish, Norwegian, Danish, and so. But in Faroese, he uses this suffix for month. So maybe in the winter, the moon is more powerful, the moon is more in the sky than the sun. So they switched month or manet or man in English to Solin. So this is correct, or this is etymologically related to sun, but it means month. And the winter, the Vetra Solin, the winter month, is what we have seen in Bede's calendar, the early Yule month. And here we have the date of Christmas, we have the winter solstice, and we will come later to this point. He describes when the new moon of the Jola Solin, which is the month after Vetra Solin, when the crescent is sparking, then we have a leap month. But this leap month is not a complete leap month, it's a half leap month, and it's cut in after Vetra Solin and before Jula Solin. So this is not in the summer, like we have seen in Bede's calendar, but it's in winter. So when we look at the month names, Vetra Solin, Pater Sol at Vetri, this is a little bit Latin, I think. It's part part month of winter. Then we have Jula Solen, it's the Yule month, yeah. So it's not the month of Christmas Eve, it's the month after this. And here we have an old relic of the old Germanic lunar calendar. Then we have Tora Solin. This is not the god Thor again. This is this dry month, this cold month, Tori month. Göthu Solin. Then we have, we will come back to this. We have the month Goi in Icelandic, which is a mythological figure. Goi, it's a weather goddess. And then we have the switch between winter and summer in a half month. So this Einmannasolen is in the middle of this Einmanuther. This means just 1 month in Icelandic. This is the next one. Then we have Yutu-Solen. Oh, I forgot it. I must look it up. What was this one? I forgot it. This was the spawn month. Okay. Then Sumar-Solen, the summer month. Here is the summer solstice. And then we have Öku-Solen. Öku, this means also some, in Scandinavian, like increasing. Yeah. So here we have conserved in this name an old relic of a leap month, but it's not a leap month. Then we have Fleysolen, Heunasolen, Aukursolen, Sockensolen. I don't remember all these names, but these are half months. Yeah. So what's important here? We have the Julasolen, which is more or less January. We have the beginning of summer and winter in the middle of a month. We have the old relic of a leap month here. Yeah? And this is very interesting. And Niels Winter also reported a leap rule, which I'm presenting later on. So, and last but not least, we have the Icelandic or Nordic weekly calendar. So weekly calendars are a little bit different than lunar or solar calendars. So they're just counting weeks. Yeah? So everyone knows this from calendary weeks in our job life. So sometimes you say we make an appointment in the 30th weeks of the year, for example. And these are the Icelandic names. So these are not lunar month anymore. And here we have, when we start here at the Beta Nota plot, at the beginning of winter, we have Gormanatha. Gor, it's also related to intestine, which means Pølse month we had in Danish. This is the slaughtering month. Then Freyr Manatha, it's a frost month. And another Icelandic name is Ylja, which is etymologically related to Yule. Then we have Yule Manatha. So we have 2 times Yule, Hrút Manatha, Mursuka, which is Kraftsacker, sorry, which is again the cold month. Then Goi Blot, beasting in Old Uppsala, is already indicated here. Goi is a weather goddess. Then Einmanatha, which means ein month or first month, which is the last winter month. And then we switch here to the cuckoo month, or the time of soaring. Harper is some other mythological name for the first month of summer. Ektid, it's the time of the eggs. Stektid, it's the time of steaks, of doing barbecue. The summer month or the sun month. Then here, this is also very important. We have the Aukanetia. And when I switch back here to this Öku-Solen, Auka, which is the increasing nights. And then we have the Summa Auki, which it's a leap week, which is introduced here at this point. And again, we have this date for cutting in a time period in summer. So here it's reconfirmed what we already know from Beda. Then Heiania, Midsummer. This is also interesting. Midsummer is not at the summer solstice. It's later on. It's the old Midsummer. And then we have Twimanather, the twin month, which is also some etymological hint that the leap month is cut in the summer period. And then last but not least here, corn scooter. This is cutting the corn, or the cutting wheat and all these things. And then we have the harvest month, which is the last one in summer. So then we come to the rune calendars, which are very famous in Norway. I have seen several of these in Mayhogen in Lillehammer in the museum there. And here usually you have very strange symbols, and we have also some runes and some calendars here. And most of the symbols here are birthdays of holy persons, but there are some very old relics, I would call them, and these are the quarter days. And the quarter days, this is what we have seen in this report from Snorri. So you have the beginning of summer, the Sumarmal, which is depicted usually as a tree with leaves or in some other forms. Now, this is the first day of summer. And then April the 14th, this is, if you go back to the Roman calendar, this could be the Edith of April. This could be a full moon date in April. So here we have the starting of summer. Then we have midsummer. Midsummer is not Sankt Johanni. It's not the summer solstice. It's in July the 14th. We have the sun mark, sometimes the sun or line across the primstaff, or we have a tree, which is depicted here. Then in October the 14th, we have the winter nights, or the first winter night. This is a leafless tree in the symbol, or the glove of a pope, or a glove of cold winter is starting. So these symbols here are related. Here the leaves are lost, and here the leaves are present. And then we have January the 12th and 13th. Here we have an X or some dots. And this is St. Knut's Day. We know this from IKEA advertisement. And this is the chop night, the Hökunot. This is the night where the animals, the pigs, I think mostly, how it's called, the sonar blot is one term for jewel. Here the animals are sacrificed for the jewel festivities, which are on the next days. And as you see here, April the 14th, July the 14th, October the 14th, January 12th, 13th, these are most probably old full moon dates, which are related to the Ediths in the Roman calendar. So to sum it up at this point, we have a new, or we have a little bit another wheel of the year. So you sometimes see these depictions which connect summer and winter solstice and spring and autumn equinox, which is indicated here by these lines. But in the Germanic, or in the Northern, in the Scandinavian calendars, we have 4 quarter days, which are the full moon after the first new moon after the summer solstice, which is midsummer, the winter nights, the starting of winter, the full moon after the first new moon after autumn equinox. So there could be round about 1.5 months between winter solstice or autumn equinox and these quarter days. Midwinter is the middle of more or less January, the full moon after the first new moon, and the summer begin, the Sumarmal, is the first new moon after the spring equinox. So this is a little bit different from what we know from many popular new pagan depictions. So now I want to go a little bit closer on the singular month and the names. And many of the month names are derived from works, from the monthly works, and these are some depictions from all German calendars. So this is from the 6th century, I think. This is one more modern, and here you see mostly some farmers, some butchers, bakers doing something typical for these years. And these jobs, these monthly works, are already in the Old English and the Old Scandinavian month names to see. So I will start with January, which is more or less corresponding to the late Jewel moon. I relating here to the Anglo-Saxon names, and some names here, Juli or Eftera Iola, which is Anglo-Saxon, and Old High German from Einhard, we have Wintermanoth or Hartimanoth, which means winter month or hard month. Then Danish, we have already heard from this, the reindeer month. And in Old Norse, Jul Manather or Hut Manather. Hun is the ram's month. So you maybe know the Yule book. So this could be according to this name. And the festive days here are Mid-Winterblot, the Midwinterblot, Hökenot, the cut night or the chop night, Julablot, Sonablot from Helga Kvita Jorva Sonna, which is the big boar, where you make some oath or something like this. So, and there's often the questions, how is the term Midwinter related to Julmanather? So I have here a quote from the story of Asbjørn Selsbane, which is part of the saga of Olaf Haraldsson. And here you have, I just indicated in the Old North text, Ad Mithium Vetri, in the middle of winter. And here you know all these phrases, till Frieda or Vitra Fara Goods, or till for Frieth, and good winter. And at this time, they have a Midwintersblot. This is correlating. And then it continues with Jolaboth, which are Yule Gaves or Jula Vaishlu, which means wassail. So here I have the complete quote translated into English. In the following winter, it was reported to the king that the inner Trondheim tribes had gathered in large numbers in Mere, which is a region there, to hold great offering feasts for midwinter. They had given sacrifice for peace and for good winter. When the king had proven that these reports to be accurate, he sent messengers to Trondheim, it's old writing style here, and called the farmers down to Nidaros, naming those amongst them he thought to be most clever. Oops, sorry. The farmers met and talked about the message. Those who had been traveling last winter did not want to do the journey again. On the plea of all farmers, Olvi agreed to go. When he came to Nidaros, he went straight to the king to talk to him. The king accused the farmers because they held a sacrificial feast in midwinter. Olvi replied by stressing that the farmers were free of all charges we had. He said, send invitations to the Yule feast and wassail. As was common in our area, the farmers do not intend to be restricted in their enjoying the Jule banquet. So much of the wassailing remained blah, 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 blah. So here we have this correlation of Yule or Yule, I choose the Old Norse writing, and midwinter, which was more or less in the middle of January. And then we have one very, very interesting and important quote of the saga of Hakon the Good, Hakon the First. Here we have it in Old Norse. I stick with the English translation. Here, Hakon the First determined by law that the Yule feast had to happen at the same time the Christians held it, and every man was ordered to brew beer to honor Yule under financial penalty. But first, the Yule feast started with the job night, Hökunot, Hökunot. That was the midwinter night, and Yule lasted for 3 days. So what we have here by law from Håkon the Good is that he shifted the Yule feast from the 12th to 14th January, or the Yule Manatha, the late Yule, to December the 25th. Yeah? So this is a very, very important quote that indicates how the Yule feast was switched or shifted from the full moon in January, I would say for simplicity, to December, to the visible winter solstice. So then we have the second month, which is called in Icelandic Thori, in Old English Sulmonat, which means the muddy month. In Old High German, we have Hornung, which is already some reaction onto February, because Hornung, this means the bastard, which is not right yet. It's a shorter month. Then in Old Low German, or maybe Old Dutch, we have Sprokkelmanet, we have the Sporkele, which is a weather goddess too. Then in Danish we have Thorman, which is again related to Thori, and Thori is in Icelandic mythology, here Thori, or Norwegian Torre, or in Swedish Thorre or Thurmanet. This is a frost giant. Yeah, this is depicted here. And this frost giant was a great sacrificer. This is the chapter Versju Norega Bugdis, how Norway was founded in the Flateyjar book. And Þorrablót is at the moment a students' festival in Iceland. And it replaced more or less the midwinter sacrifice in full moon, just by switching a little bit the calendar. In Iceland, the Öku weeks, the Auknetur, the leap week, was in the first days of the settlement in Iceland not invented. So Þorrablót was a little bit shifted forward to January, and this Þorrablót maybe replaced the celebration of Yule in the late Yule month. So then we have the third lunar month, which is Heathen or Goi. Heathen is, according to Bede, as I already told, a goddess, but maybe it's Hluta, maybe it's the loud water, yeah, in the rivers, for example, or Lensing Manot, Lenzi Manot, Lent moon. It's that the days are becoming longer. This is German, and in Danish you have Fære man, it's a sheep month, and Goya, which is related to Goi, which is which is in the same saga, which is in the Flateyjar book. It's the daughter from Thori, and it's Goi. It's a weather goddess, and Thori makes a big sacrifice because Goi was hiding, and he wants to learn where she was hiding, and therefore he makes a sacrifice in the month of Goi. And we have also Frau Gaue in North Germany, or Gya, which is Denmark, southern Sweden. And here we have the weather or snow goddess. So it's maybe related to Gewon, the Thor, the opener. So this is maybe a spring goddess. And then in the month of Goi, we will see this later on, we have the Disting in Gamla Uppsala, and another name is maybe Fröplot. I have depicted it here with some depiction from the Skirnismal or Skirnisfur. You have here the god Frey, maybe related to Fro, and here we have Gerd, which is more or less the earth which is in the spring, and he sends Skirnir, which is his sandy man, and he has a sword. And maybe this muse of the Edda is related to this. And so we come to the Diesting. So Snorri reports that the Diesting had been moved to Candlemas, shifting from the third lunar month, which was Goi. This is also important because Diesting was further shifted also to the late Yule month, replacing the Yule celebration. So it was shifting from the third lunar month Goi to the second calendary month, February, of the Julian calendar. This can be gleaned from the month names. There are reports from Dalarna, which is a region in Sweden, that the month after Yule month was named Diestingstungel. But Diesting is clear, this is the Ting, the celebration of the Disir, of the King Disa, and Tungel is an old Swedish or an old Low German expression for moon. In Old High German, we have Zungal and Zungel in Middle High German. And this is replacing the suffix for month or moon. This is the Diesting's moon or Diesting's month. And this has replaced the Diesting's moon. But as I already mentioned, the second lunar month was called Torre. So there may be regional differences between Goi and Torre and Diesting's moon, and Diestingstunnel has replaced the name Torre. And Adam von Brehm, I think there are, or many of you know this already, there are some very detailed descriptions of this sacrificial feast around spring equinox. Adam von Brehm says around spring equinox. So spring equinox would be more or less the third month, and this is shifted onwards. So then we have the term Fröplot. This comes from the Gesta Danorum by Saxo Grammaticus. And he writes, there was a wise king among the gods, which was called Frö, who lived near Uppsala. He replaced the old system of the sacrificial feast practiced by many people since centuries by a morbid and inexpressible form of an expiation sacrifice. He introduced despicable sacrifices to the gods during which human beings were slaughtered. In order to appease the gods, he held sacred offerings with dark-colored sacrifices for the god Frö or Freya. He repeated this expiation sacrifices in an annual feast and ordered his offspring to stick to this tradition. The Swedes call this the Fröplot. So we have another name, when I go back here, for Goiplot, Diesting of Fröplot. And maybe you know this from the Viking series. They have some good depiction of the Diesting at an annual celebration. Then we came to one other very interesting month name, the fourth month. It's Eostre-Monat, the Easter month. In Old English and in Old German, we have Ostermanot, and then in Danish, Maymin or Færemin, which means sheep month or the month of May. This is not spectacular. In Swedish, we have Vårmånad, the beginning of spring, Vår here, and Einmanather in Old Norse. This is very strange. This is 1 month. It's just one Ein month. And in Dutch, we have the Grasman, where the grass grows. So this month is very important because here we have the beginning of summer, the Sommermal. Then another name is Sigerblot, which is the offering for a successful Viking, the Vårblot, the spring beginning, Easter. Most probably the Nertus procession took place here. And there is also in this Norse saga with Tori and Goi, Einmanather is also a name. And yeah, just for the depiction here, there's one other interpretation from Jürgen Udolf. He just does not deduce the month name from the goddess Eostra. He says it's going back to Ausa, which means to baptize children. Yeah? So after this, after a very hard winter, the young children surviving the winter and starting with summer were given the names even in a pagan tradition. So it's not a Christian celebration. It's Ausa Barn Vatni. It's the Scandinavian expression. So you give the children the real names and welcome them into society. And this is maybe the real name behind this month name. And Professor Udolf also has traces in Slavic languages, in Sorbian language, and in Kashubian and another, I forgot it. You can look it up. It's very interesting. It's another interpretation of the Eostre-Monat, or the Ostermonat in German. So then we come to the merry moon, or the tree milky month, which is more or less May, the 5th month. This just means in Old English milking the cow 3 times, and in Old High German Wundermonat or Wintermonat, which means just last month, or maybe the Grath month. Summermain, Maimain, Gaukmanather, Satit, Blomstermonat. Maybe the Swedish and the Dutch names are very interesting here, because Blomstermonat means the month of blossoms. And we have some Old English glossary with a name Plostrum Freols, which is translated as Floralia. Floralia is a Roman procession at the beginning of May, celebrated with many blossoms, and this should be also celebrated by the Old English people. And yeah, maybe this is also a regional festivity in the Germanic calendar. And we have maybe the war thing. We have the Althing in midsummer, and we have the spring thing, which is maybe here in this month. So then we come to the next double month, the Eralida, the follow moon in German, Brachmonat, Ormin, Schersommer, Ektid, Sektid. So I think the most important name here is the Heathen name. And this is the month where we have the summer solstice, and in Icelandic rules the Althing. So this is more or less the month of the Ting plot, and the Althing was over 2 weeks. So it's not some point, the 21st of June, for example. It's a 2 weeks period. And here I have shown a depiction with the god Tyr here, which is also the god of the Ting. And yeah, maybe he has some relation to the sun already. So there's some saying in Switzerland that you have to judge when the sun is high enough, and this is maybe due to this tradition here. So in the Graugans, this is the Graugans, the gray goose in English. We have this law how the priest should come to the thing meeting. So to the Volkmut is meant here, not some simple thing. That's the Volkmut here. All priests were ordered to come to the thing on the Thursday, when the weeks of summer are over, before the sun leaves the thing field. If they do not come, they need to be fined and freed of the priesthood. should they not be prevented from coming by natural causes, the 3 priests of the Ting circle have to decide among themselves who will be the leader and who will be note what needs to be discussed of the people of the priest who has to stay at home. This is 10 weeks of summer. This means 10 weeks after the Sumarmal. And then the old thing takes 2 weeks. And this is always covering, it's the base of the Nordic week calendar. And this is always covering the summer solstice. So then there is a law, the Krogas war thing. The spring thing was held according, not to the Krogas, to the Rimspilia, 5 weeks and 2 days after the Sumarmal. So this is half the period here when you take this 10 weeks. And then is a 4th thing, so-called host thing. This was held some weeks after the Al thing. So this is not very precise, but you have 3 folk moods each year. And as you know, a thing meeting should be also included in some festivities. It's also some holy celebration in some way. So then we come to the hay moon. It's just cutting hay. So this is very conserved. In Old English, it's the late Lether month, the after Eftera Lether, the late one. But it's also Math Monat, Mart in German, Heavy Manat, Hove, making hay. So this is very conserved here. Only in Old Norse, Heyanir is for August. And here we have maybe lunar midsummersplot, but I have a question mark here because this is not very well documented. A full moon midsummersplot is only documented into the Olaf Saga Tryggvasonar, chapter 72. Thing I Trondheim, we are again in Trondheim. In summer, King Olaf gathered a great host from the east of the country and went northways with them to Trondheim. Finally, it was decided that the midsummersplot should be performed in Mere. It's referring to the other source I have presented. All headmen and mighty farmers should come as the traditions wanted, and King Olaf was to go there. So there's the only documentation of a midsummer plot in some saga literature. The quarter day of a lunar midsummer at July the 14th is definitely well documented because you have many prim staffs, stavia, and this is the only one here. There's one other thing which could be related to this. This is from the saga of the Norwegian kings, chapter 19. And I'll just read it. He was 27 winters, in brackets years, old when he arrived in Norway. And in the 5 years he was bearing the title or the name King of Norway. He Christianized 5 countries: Norway, Iceland, the Shetland Islands, and the Orkneys, and the Faroe Islands. And he erected the first churches himself in his main residencies. He abolished the sacrifice of feasts and wassails and ordered the feast days of Jule, Christmas, December the 25th, Easter, Passover, continuously on the full moon before Easter Sunday, and St. John's Day spear at June 24th, and the harvest spear on Michaelmas. So here we have maybe the indication that on the lunar midsummer there was some beer drinking, as in all the other quarter days too. So beer is very important. Nothing new. So we are going forward. Then the 8th month is the crop moon, the wheat month. Aran means harvest, Ernte, Ernemanot, corn, höst, Midsummer, Kornschide. So this is just cutting hay, cutting wheat and barley and all so on. And here in this month is maybe the house thing, as I already told a little bit before. Then we have the harvest month. This is this stays the same in Old English. Harvest, Harlek monat, it's holy, a holy month. Herbst monat in Old High German. And then we have Fiskemonat, so they go fishing. Then in Old Norse we have Haustmanater in October. The name is the same, but for 1 month later, the Old Norse name is Kornskurtemanater, Höstmonat, Herfestmonat. Yeah? So there's only one indication from Bede the Venerable that we have this Harlek monat. Harlek monat means month of the sacred rites, and maybe they have some Thanksgiving celebrations here. It's not completely clear. Then one very important month is the Winterfyres, the winter moon. This is the starting of winter, and Wintermonat is also documented for Old High German. We have Vindu-Monat, which means month of the grapes, the wine month. Old Norse Haustmanater, Wintermonat in Swedish. So here we have the Veternetter or the Veternotter plot, Disa plot, Alpha plot, House plot. These are all names for the full moon celebration in this month. And I think these are very good documented, so I will not bring additional sources here because of the short time. So then we have the slaughter moon, the blood monat. I already said here blood monat in Old English, or blood winter monat, slagtemonat in Danish, gormanata. Gore is intestine, slagtmonat in Sweden, or old a little bit older, bloodmonat, but for October, and Schlachtmonat for Dutch. Yeah? So here we have the slaughtering of the animals, and this is maybe also with sacrifices associated. And then we have the early Yule moon. This is Area Iola. This is what we know from Christmas. And here we have the report from Beda. He says that the winter solstice is celebrated under the name Mutranecht, also the mother's night, which is referring maybe to the Matrone, the Matres, the mothers, which we know from the Dutch-German border, but also I think in Bath, in England, there's also these three mothers, the Matrone. There is an altar there, and this is the winter solstice. There's only a second source, Procopius of Caesarea in the Bello Gothico, and he describes that the inhabitants of the island Thule celebrate the reappearance of the sun after several days of the complete polar night there. Yeah? So there are only two sources that say that the Germanic pagans in ancient days celebrated the winter solstice. This is a very bad documented festivity here. So, and now we come to the mathematics, to the more complicated part here. And this is the intercalary month, the 13th month. And we have several names for this. This is was already presented by me. We have the third Lite moon, in the Anglo-Saxon, and we have the Sildeman, the late or tardy month in the Danish calendar by Olaus Wormius. Then we have the Tvimanuter in the Icelandic month, which means the twin month. This is also a hint to Era and Eftera Litha. And we have these other names in Scandinavian languages, Ökusolen from the Faroes, increasing month, Auka Manatha, this is reconstructed, or Auka Tummel. Here again, we have this Tummel for moon. And we know from Beda that's cut in, it's inserted between the 7th and the 8th lunar month which is about July and August, yeah, after the lunar midsummer. But what are the leap rules when when this month is cut in? And here we come to the very good documented Diesting rules. And from Sweden, we know many of these Diesting rules. And I think I will present them here in their completeness. So Diestingen, the lunar celebration in the Diestings month, this is already in the days of Christianization. So the Diesting has replaced the late Yule full moon celebration. So it's this what we see in Beda Venerables as the late Yule month. Så Diestingen innfølger den fullmåne som følger på den første nytendingen efter de 3 hellige kongers dag i January. So the Diestings happens on the full moon, which follows the first new moon after the 3 Kings Day in January. So we have the 13th day, and the Diesting is on the full moon, which follows the first new moon. So there is the sparking of the waxing moon after the 3 Kings Day, and this is the lunar month Thori. So there was renamed into Diestings month. So this is the first one. So most important here is to see the concept of these switching rules. We have the 3 Kings Day, which is a solar fixed date, and then we have some mobile date, which is according to the full moon or to the new first moon. So we have a month that starts with its first new moon after a solar fixed date. This is important to have in mind. Then we have another German historian, Erich Lasota von Streblau or of Streblau, and he said, in the city Uppsala, 2 masses or markets are held. The first is named the Diesting market, for it has been established by Queen Disa. So this is not a Disia, it's just one queen called Disa. It always falls on the full moon of the first new light after the Holy 3 Kings Day. And if the new light is on the same day of the Holy 3 Kings, before noon, the full moon will be not on the first, but on the next new light. If the new light happens on the same day after noon, it will be held on the first full moon. The other market will forever be held on St. Eric's Day, May 18th, and thus be named Ericsmas. So the first part is a very detailed description. The original is in High German of the switching rule, and he says if the new moon crescent of the Diesting moon is within the period between Christmas and the Holy 3 Kings Day, then then we have in this month the Diesting. If not, then it's later on. And this is also the leap rule when a new moon is cut in. So then we have a runic writing on a copper plate, which was by Johann Bureus in Runochens Læresborn in Uppsala reported. He says, "Net 13 dags nut I fyllegar da dieser ting I Uppsala står." So if the new moon on the 13th day becomes a full moon, then it's Diesting in Uppsala. So this is in accordance with the already presented parts. Then some more. I just read the English one because my Swedish is not so good. The new moon sparking after midnight of the 13th day is the Diesting moon, beginning of the Diesting month, also sparking after midnight of this 13th day. Then the moon shining on the 13th day is the Yule moon. Its successor is the Diesting moon. So we have the Diesting in the moon after the 13th day. The moon which is in the sky on the 13th day shall be the Yule moon. Oops. No matter if young or old. So here it's a switch. Here we have Diesting rule, and here the Yule moon. The Yule moon is the month before the Diesting month. So the early Yule moon is the Yule moon, and the late Yule moon is corresponding here to the Diesting month. Then we have the Yule moon rule in an Icelandic manuscript, Rimspile here, and here we have this shall be counted as the Yule moon, which is on the sky on 13th day, no matter if young or old. This is what we have already before. This means in plain terms that the Yule month is the lunar month, which is still or already in the sky on the 13th day. That means after the 12 nights after the birth of Christ. So we have this 13-day or 12-day period independent from the moon phase. It is on the 13th day. So it does not matter if it's a new sparked moon or it's already a full moon or a waning moon. So then the Diesting in Uppsala is held when the second new moon, which is closest to the winter solstice, becomes a full moon. So the second. So we have two moons which are close to the winter solstice. One is sparking before and the other one afterwards. So then we have the Dictionary of Norwegian Language by Ivar Aasen. This is more modern. The Yule month is the month or the moon which shines on Yule, birthday of Christ, under the condition that this expands over the 13th day. So we have again these two months. Otherwise, if it is not seen on the 13th day, the next moon, the next lunar month, will be named Yule month. So if the waning moon is already at its end before the Holy Three Kings Day, then it's not anymore the Yule month, it's the month before. So then we come to the Faroese calendar by Niels Winter. And here we have the winter moon, as I already presented here. Vetrasolin, the winter moon, is the Yule month, and the Jólasolin is the late. This is Vetrasolin is the early, and Jólasolin is the late Yule month. And here writes Vetrasolin, the Måneskin, also der Mondenschein. I stick with English here. The winter sun meaning the winter month, the winter moon, is the moonlight shining on winter solstice. In a veritable year, the same new moon is in the same week or at the end of the first week of December. So here, this solar fixed period from birth of Christ, from winter solstice to the Holy Three Kings Day, is shifted forward 1 month in the Vetrasolin, in the winter month. And here we have again a time period about 1.5 months, 1.5 week. This means in the same week or at the end of the first week of December. So it is assumed that this rule, which is not according to the Three Holy Kings Day, but to the winter solstice, this is more ancient. This is more pagan, in this context. So finally, I will present a calendar which was reported by Professor Wiklund, which is a Finnish or Sami calendar. And here we have yeah, I only have the translation here of the month names, and here we have the so-called first hard month, or the heart of winter, and we have a second hard month. And here's the Yule month, which is already in a Christianized manner the Christian month. And here says, or the rule is the moon which is born while the winter day is still in his house. The house is the week before winter solstice. Oh, this is also important. This is a FIMT. This is a 5 days week, not 7. It's just 5 days. This is also reported by Niels Winter, which is, or I start. The moon which is born while the winter day is still in his house, or after that, is the first hard moon. In this way, the Christmas festival sometimes falls in the first hard moon, and then we hope for a good harvest. But when the first hard moon is born late, e.g. after the 12th day, there's no second hard moon in this year, but then the foam moon, the so-called, because the snowflakes look like foam, follows the snow crust moon, the melting moon, the sprouting moon, and so on and so on. When we reckon the moons of the year beginning with the first hard moon, we sometimes get 13 months in the year. Also, there are only 12 book months. So the interesting thing here, you have a leap month, which is not cut into the summer. This is cut in after the winter. So to sum it up, the mnemonics basically describe 3 important aspects of the relation of the 2 Yule months and their relation to the solar year. On the one hand, the early Yule moon had to expand over a solar fixed state. This is fixed, or this fixed state was originally the winter solstice itself. Later, via Christian influence, the 3 Kings Day became the fixed day in the solar year. Hence, on the other hand, the late Yule month can only spark directly after this solar fixed state. In this month, sparking after the solar fixed state, a full moon feast midwinter was celebrated. To ensure this relation of the solar fixed state at the turn of the year, the rule of thumb said that if the new moon of the late Yule month sparked in the period of the 12 nights in intercalary month, had to be placed within the respective lunar year in the summer. So this is the fazit of all these leap rules. So how does it work? And there's an additional leap rule, which was documented by Olaus Rudbeck. This is some very famous man. He wrote a book, Atlant, Eller Mannheim, and there was much discussion, was Atlantis in Sweden or in Scandinavia, and he made 4 big books, or he wrote 4 big books and a very nice atlas, and he reported a leap rule which he learned from a 90-year-old farmer from Swedish Uppland. No one knows really if this is true, but it fits very well what we have learned already. And he learned from this farmer from Swedish Uppland during the Diesting market in 1689, which was already or was still celebrated here, where he explained his primstuff, his rune calendar. And he said, Tunglet skjuter 12 or tjug ander auni. The translation, the moon, Tungel, strikes 12 and 20 under Aun in the 9-year cycle. I have here the German translation in my old book, the Zunge. This is the same word in Old High German or Middle High German. Schreitet 12 und 20 unter Aun. The jumping of the moon is mean here. So what does it mean, or how to explain this rule? So the last part, under Auni, I will explain first. Aun was some famous king of Sweden. Yeah? And you all know this depiction from Olaus Magnus. He has this famous map from Scandinavia with these nice depictions here. And what you see is the old church from Gamla Uppsala here. Then here you have a line of barrows here. And this is the so-called Tingsirk. So when you stand here, you can look over these. And these 3 big barrows here are the so-called royal grave mounds. And in the second one, King Aun or Arni the Old, which is described in the Ynglinga saga from the Ynglinga dynasty, is buried here. Yeah, so Aun, King Aun, was a very famous Swedish king. In the East Mount, you have King Aun's son Egil, and in the West Mount, you have King Egil's grandson Atli. Yeah? You have Egil, Aun, and Adil here in these royal grave mounds, in these 3 barrows here. And these King Aun here, buried here, was a great sacrificer. So we have some reports, some sagas about him. And in the Ynglinga saga, the death of King Aun, translated Aun or Arni was the name of Jörun's son, who became king in Sweden in a region called Jundaland. This means land of 10, the 10 land, after his father, who sacrificed 10 sons. He sacrificed his 10 sons to Odin to live round about 300 years. Then in Historia Norvegiae, we have a Latin inscription translated, this Jörund siert Auchun or Aun, who refrained from eating solid food for the last 9 years before his death. Instead, he drank milk from a horn like an infant. And in Flateyjar book, Edda Thala Haralds fra Oddny, we have the genealogy of Harald Hårfagre from Oddny, whom we named Jörund, was the father of Arni the Old, who we called Aun. For reasons of age, he supped from his drinking horn for 9 winters until he died. Aun was the seer of Egil Tunadolk. So here we have some reference to a 9-year period, where in the saga we have around about 300 years period. And these 9 years are referring to an inclusive reckoning, like at the Romans, which is more or less 8 years. So what does the first part of this rule mean? And the rule is the moon strikes 12 and 20. And 12 means that it goes in the timeline. Yeah, this should be a timeline here. Here you have 3 lunar months. This is January or the late Yule month. Then we have February or Tori and March Goi. And then I give some arbitrary example. So I choose the year 2012 because I published my book in 2013. And then we start with this month in February. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 7th February, or maybe the 7th Tori. And then 1 year later, because of the lunar switching, the differences in solar and lunar year, the moon strides 12 into the future. And this is still, this is not a real February, it's a calendar week. So we have the 28, the 27, I think. And then in the next year, the moon can't stride 12 in the future. Yeah? This would be here. This would be in the next March, in the next month, which would be March or Goi month. So, and when this will be happen or could be happen, then it's going back 20. That means we go from here 20 back. sorry, sorry, I made a mistake. You have to go back. We start here and it goes 20 in the future. Sorry, yeah, from February 7th to the 27th, and then it should go 20 in the future, which is here, but this is not possible, and that's why he should go 12 the moon, 12 back, and then again 20 in the future, which is not possible, so he goes again 12 back. So sorry for my mistake. This is not happening, the gray and the black one, and this is the jumping, the striding of the moon within the month of February. So here I have a table. Here you have the years in Gregorian and modern calendar. Here you have the years of these octaeteres of the 8-year cycle, which is more or less a 9-year cycle. And this here is the 19-year cycle, I missed the name. What was it? I forgot it. Sorry. The 19-year rule. So here you start in February 7th. It goes 20 in the future for the next year. It's February the 27th. Then it cannot go 20 forward because it's in March. Then it's going 12 back, and then you have February 15th. Again, plus 20 would be February the 35th, which is not possible. So again, it has to go 12 steps back and to February the 3rd. Then again, it can go to 20 years in the future, February the 23rd. Then again, it would be the 43rd February, which is not possible. So again, 12 days back to February 11th, plus 20 would be March the 1st. In this case, it can work because we don't use the regular Gregorian calendar. This what we use is a weekly calendar, and in this we have 30 days in February. So from this we go 12 days back to February the 19th, again 12 days back, and then we end up in February the 7th, which is the same as we started. Yeah? So here in the 9th year, it is complete. The cycle is complete, and this is the so-called octaeteros. Yeah? So I skipped this. When you go in the 19th year cycle, then you complete it in the 20th year nearly. Yeah? So, but here's one very important thing. After completing this octaeteres, this 9-year cycle, here the people gather at the Diesting, at the Ting, and they make some corrections because in the astronomical full moon calendar date in the Gregorian calendar would be February the 9th here and not the 7th. So maybe this is the reason why these celebrations of the quarter days, like Yule, last 3 days. Yeah? Within this rule, you have a deviation of 2 days, and when you have 3 days festivity time, you are always in the right time period. Yeah? And this is again the same one. And these 9 years, yeah, you find very often in Germanic mythology, and these rule from Uppsala rule, yeah, this correlates with the leap years. So in every year, when you have to go 20 days, plus 20 days, if the moon strides 20 days, then you have to insert a leap month. And if you have just the 12, then you have just 12 months in this year. Yeah, so within 8 years, you have 1, 2, 3 times a leap year with 13 months. So so I'm not sure if when I go back here, if Rudbeck has really met this 90-year-old man, but the rule is in accordance with what we have seen before. Yeah? So this works very well. And okay, I have to go back. And every 8 years or every 9 years, there was a much more bigger supra-regional festivity in some places. It's very good documented. And here we have the report of Dietmar of Merseburg. He reports a cult feast of the Danes in Letra or Lederum or Leyre today. He writes, there's a place in that region named Lederum or Leyre, the capital of their realm in the district Sealand, where everyone gathered in the month January after 9 years, which is more or less 8 years with an inclusive time reckoning, had passed. In the time when we celebrate Epiphany, and they sacrificed 99 men and as many horses, dogs, and roosters, which were used in replacement of hawks to their gods. They believed surely that they would serve the gods in the lower world and reconcile them for their misdeeds. The sum of months over such a 9-year cycle is exactly 99 months. Yeah? And here he describes that for every lunar month of the 9-year cycle, there's one sacrificial animal per species, including man. Yeah? So then we have the same for the Diesting again. Yeah? So there must be some special Diesting every 8 or 9 years. And this is a report of Adam of Bremen, the Gesta Hamburgensis, Ecclesia Pontificium. For all of their gods, they have special priests who give the sacrifices for the people. If pestilence and famine threaten, they give offerings to the idol Thor, in case of war to Woden, for wedding to Fricko, to Thor, Odin, and Freya. Every 9-year cycles they hold in all Swedish feasts in Uppsala. The sacrifice is as follows: 9 male beings of every species are sacrificed, and the gods are expiated with their blood. Their bodies are hung in the grove closest to the temple. These corpses are so hallowed to the pagans that every single tree is considered sacred through the death or decay of the sacrifice. Dogs and horses are hanging there next to the men. For 9 days, banquets and this kind of sacrifice is celebrated. On every day, they offer a man and the animals of the different species so that their number sums up to 72 over the 9 days. The sacrificial feast is held on the spring equinox. So here it's a little bit different date. It's not the winter. And this is, again, from Olaus Magnus. This is the temple of Gamla Uppsala. And here we have only 72 animals. And yeah, this is a representation of these 8 lunar years. 8 times 9 is 72. Also, there's a little bit other counting, and it saves man's life. It's depicted here. This is a human sacrifice, which is given in a pond. Then we have another document for these big 9-year or 8-year offering. This is the rune stone of Steentoften, which belongs to the rune stones of Blekinge. And here in these inscriptions, or in this rune inscription is written, through the sacrifice of 9 billy goats and 9 stallions, Hardy Wolf gave a good year. Hardy Wolf protects the boy now. I hide a gleaming rune line here, magical runes, restless through malice. He who destroys this memorial will die a deceitful death. So here, the first one, this is a low-cost 9 years offering. He just makes a sacrifice of 9 billy goats and 9 stallions. And this could correlate to this 9-year offering. So, and this is the end of my talk. Here I have a graphical summary. I think it's very confusing because I want to bring every what I have told here into one depiction. And yeah, what you see here is we have two seasons, the winter and the summer. This is important. We have the quarter days here in red that last 3 days. That's why it's not a line, it's a small pie slice. And here we have the winter month, which is celebrated with the beginning of winter, Winterfrühles, Winternoterplot. Then here we have the late Yule, the winter sacrificed, which was shifted forward to the Mother's Night. Then we have here the Easter month, the beginning of summer, and then we have the lunar midsummer here. Then we have this leap month here, which is cut in after this. I already told this. And here with these arrows, I want to indicate, first we have the problem with the Easter fasting time, so that from Goiplot, the Diesting was preponed to Tori, the Tori month. And then in Icelandic rule, we have this old midwinter, and here we have the Torah plot, which replace the lunar Yule celebration at the full moon, which was a long time tradition additionally to the Christmas Eve here. And yeah, last but not least, I want to do a little bit advertisement. As already said, I wrote a book about this in German here first. The second edition was in February 2018. And yeah, you have this here now since February in English too. So if you want to read it much more detailed. Okay, that's it.